Alright guys, the time is now for another entry in our Community Cast series. In this match, we're going to have a showdown between the Skaven, who are going to be led by Gojira, and the Dinosaurs, who are going to be led by King of the Dead. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So for the Filthy Rat Boys here on the front line, we do have three groups of the Plague Monks. Now these guys can definitely do some pretty good damage against Saurus and Skinks. Of course they have very low armor piercing, but I think Saurus have 60 armor, let's go ahead and double check, and Skinks have 30. So definitely some pretty good targets for the Plague Monks. And on top of that, they are immune to psychology while their frenzy is active. So if they have Grimlock or Zlock or any of the big spooky dinosaurs, well, I wouldn't call them spooky, more so as like terrifying, but they're going to be a little bit more resilient than the average clan rat. Very low armor, however, and they're definitely going to take a beating right back in the face from the Skinks and Saurus. But yeah, I like these guys quite a bit in the front line. Definitely think they can do some work. Three groups of rat ogres in total, going to be good against Croxagores and Bastillodons and bigger targets, giving you something to actually, stop the big dino units from rampaging all over your face. So I do like the rat ogre pick as well. Got a Hell Pit Abomination. You can definitely use one or two Hell Pits here. They're going to be very good if the dinos decide to go Monster Mash and just bring like Grimlock or Zlock or, even like Lord Mazda Money is actually considered a big target on his toilet seat. So the Hell Pit Abomination can actually be very good against Slann as well. So the Hell Pit here is definitely ready to party. However, Skink Chiefs can definitely poke him for a very, very long time in these battles. But it looks like Gojira does indeed have an answer for that. He's got two groups of the Gutter Runners with Poison. So these guys are probably going to be going after some of the flying Skinks here, the Skink Priest as well as the Chief. So I like that as well. And two halberds on the flanks just to help out with Croxagores and big dinosaurs. That's pretty much it. A pretty high and tight Skaven army. I like it quite a bit. He's got Lord Skrulk there, which is obviously the most competitive choice. He's just very, very good. And a Warlock Engineer with the Death Frenzy. Ooh, that's going to be interesting. The Death Frenzy is a spell from the Lore of Ruin, so he has the two summons on Skrulk, and then on this bad boy, he has Death Frenzy, which gives melee attack, weapon damage, and immunity to psychology. Oh, that's kind of cool. So against a Bastillodon or wherever the terror-causing units do end up going, that could be quite helpful. And for the dinos, a very cool army as well. They got Skinks in the front line, who obviously aren't going to shine against Plague Monks and Skaven Infantry and Rat Ogres and things like that. I mean, against Clan Rats, they could hold their own, but here it's going to be a little bit tough for them. It looks like in the secondary line, he does have a couple of groups of Croxagores. So Croxagores got a bonus for his infantry. They got their spanking paddles out, and these guys are going to beat the brakes off those Plague Monks in the front line. Plague Monks really going to struggle against their 100 armor, and yeah, the Croxagores definitely can do some work. But the Halberds are here. They got Rat Ogres, so it's looking like they have some nice counters for each other here. In the back, a couple groups of standard Saurus, some Saurus Spears on the flanks to deal with Rat Ogres and Hell Pits. And it looks like Skink Chief with Heavens, I would guess. Yeah, Wind Blast is just so good against Skaven Infantry and just blobs of rats. On top of that, we got Crocky G over here, Crockar, or Crocky Balboa, as he's been coined here. And he does also have the Hand of the Gods. So Hand of the Gods is going to do a ton of damage against Hell Pit. I would probably just use that right out of the gates, actually. And a Rev Crystal. So guys, without further ado, let's get this show on the road. So right now you can see the Plague Monks, or the Gutter Runners, excuse me, are going to be chasing down the Skinks, trying to get some free damage there, but the Skink cohort's able to kind of mirror that up a little bit. But the Croxagores coming in with the spanking paddles here on the far side. Plague Monks have engaged, but good play here. So the Croxagores are going to just monster mash the Plague Monks, right? But the Halberds are here as well, so the Halberds are going to be quite helpful against these guys. So definitely going to be a very bloody back and forth affair on this part of the battlefield. And it looks like everything's going to be dogpiling in. The Rat Ogres and Hell Pit Abominations going after the Croxagores. The Hell Pit Abomination able to lay a bit of a spank in there on that Croxagore. You can see he got knocked back pretty damn far. On the other side, the Sauruses with Spears and the Saurus with Shields are actually going to be chasing down the Gutter Runners. So that's a good play as well. He's definitely going to want to get the Gutter Runners away because they need to finish off this Skink Priest. Ooh, a very good Wind Blast going down there from King of the Dead, just mulching those Halberds. Wind Blast is such a cost-effective spell. But check this out, an overcasted Death Frenzy here on the Skaven line, making everyone here immune to psychology, giving them 26 melee attack, weapon damage. Oh man, that is good and tasty. So right there, that's really going to buff up that Skaven line. I mean, those Plague Monks are at 62. The Halberds now have 50 melee attack. So man, they're going to start doing some pretty... I wonder how long that lasts. That lasts a really long time. Maybe that's something that I've been missing in my Skaven game. So the Hell Pit Abomination here is going to be fighting the big monsters. Crockar takes a bit of a beatdown. So man, Skrulk as well as the Libra Bubonicus able to do some serious work, but he should be able to heal back up using a Rev Crystal and some of his other buffs. So Swiftness of Itzel has been popped, and he's definitely going to be hunting for some of that rat. Crockar definitely 5744, and looks like he does have 528 right now in terms of his combat stats, and 65. Skrulk actually has really high melee attack, but yeah, it's going to be quite a pit fight. Over here on the flanks, the dinos are definitely enveloping a little bit. Some of the Gutter Runners have been forced back. They're just trying to, kiting and skirmishing with those guys, but they've also done some really good damage against the Skink Priest, so well played there to Gojira. But it looks like the dinos got a pretty hard fight on their hands for sure, and the Balance Power is pretty much dead, even maybe slightly in the favor of the Skaven. We do have some Croxagores rallying here on the far side, going to start fighting Rat Ogres, and Rat Ogres definitely trade very efficiently with Croxagores because they have higher melee attack, and their AP is very, very good against the 100 armor of the Croxagores. So again, the Hell Pit Abomination in here, it's stacked on top of some of these Rat Ogres, but there are a bunch of Saurus Spears here. So King of the Dead has a pretty good little position. You can see the Hell Pit Abomination is taking periodic pokes and it's starting to get worn down. There's going to be a rat summon here in the back. It looks like it's just going to be clan rats and things like that. But yeah, the Hell Pit is fighting Spears. Crockar also does have a bonus for his large. So he's going to be really good in this fight as well. Rat Ogres are also getting poked down by the spears. So very tough pocket for the Skaven here. On the flanks, it looks like some of the halberds did get buckled off by the Saurus, and they're probably going to go down here in a moment, but they do have some nice overwatch fire coming in from the gutter runners, going into the back of the Saurus, and if you shoot a missile into the back of something, its shield isn't going to help it. But there lies the eternal question. What happens when what are those units called? The Lothern Sea Guard, who have the shield on their backs? Does that matter? Who knows? Anyways, these skinks here on the flank are kind of getting blown up a little bit by the Skaven infantry, but the Plague Monks are also, starting to run away. Of course, they are a frenzy unit. Frenzy means you're going to be a little bit stronger on the front end, but once you do take a bit of a beating, you're not going to be quite as powerful. But a very good Rod of Corruption going down from the Skaven, which hits the spears and everything else. But, this Helpet Abomination is taking about 1,000 HP damage since we've looked, and it does overextend a little bit. It actually knocks Krokar back, who's almost back up to full health from that Rev Crystal, and he definitely needs to get out of there because Krokar is going to be very strong against that Helpet Abomination. On this part of the battlefield, you can see the Skinks are still holding pretty firm, surprisingly. The Saurus here doing their thing. Oh, did you guys see that? I think the Hand of the Gods, I think he just cock-blocked himself. So the Bastillodon was like running through to actually charge across the battlefield and go after Skrulk, but the Hand of the Gods, I think, hit the side of the Bastillodon, whereas that could have potentially hit the Helpet Abomination. Oh, that's brutal. That would have done so much damage, would have sent its leadership spiraling, and just, oh man, that is a really unfortunate situation there. So, anyways, the Bastillodon, it's kind of like that one free-for-all I did where the Bastillodon did. Yeah, the same thing actually happened to me where Krokar, his Hand of the Gods hit the side of Bastillodon, but he's going to be running in there. It looks like another Libra Bubonicus going down from the Skrulk Man. On the backside of the battlefield, it looks like some Kroxigors, as well as these Skink Priests with the Lord of Heavens, are trying to chase down these Gutter Runners, but that's a bold strategy cut. I'm not sure how it's going to work out for this guy, as the Kroxigors are starting to buckle from that fire, and some of the Skinks are going to come back here as well. But, most of the Gutter Runners have used all their ammunition anyways. Warlock Engineer does get broken off here by all the Saurus, and they're going to be dogpiling in, and now it's just going to be a straight-up pit fight. Lord Skrulk, of course, very good in the long game because he has so many summons and abilities. If you can get both Libra casts off as well as the Rod of Corruptions, you're going to get a ton of value from Skrulk. You can see here he's going to be running from Krokar, definitely a much more powerful combatant here. But oh, Krokar gets steel-chaired by the Helpet Abomination. He comes in there and spanks Krokar and sends him flying a little bit. Now, Crocky G has a ton of buffs. Crocky Balboa here, Cold-Blooded, Swiftness, Deadly Onslaught, Rev Crystal. He is ready to go fisticuffs. But man, that was a beautiful save because Skrulk was about to get put in a trash can so damn hard. I mean, right now he has about 800 HP. So Bounce Fire is still pretty even. The Skink Chief is actually sitting in Overwatch here and is just going to be shooting at Lord Skrulk, which is a little bit unfortunate. It's probably going to be able to kill him in a moment. The Skink Chief, the eternal scourge of the Skaven heroes, it just flies and picks off your big targets. There's a lot of Summoned Clan Rats and Plague Monks here from Lord Skrulk. And it looks like they're able to get a pretty good surround and actually finish off the last of the Saurus here. There still is a Bastillodon here who's ramshackling some of these Skaven, but yeah, he's probably going to get taken out by the Halberds and the Rat Ogres and some of those other troops. So here we have the pit fight of pit fights. Skrulk is going to be running for his life and squealing. He does have 165 HP, negative 15 leadership, and the Skink Chief should be able to snipe him out. Rocky G, in the meantime, is going to be fighting up against the Helpet Abomination. He's done a little bit of damage, but the Abomination keeps knocking him over. There's Rat Ogres here. There's a ton of supporting units. So Krokar is definitely in the wrong neighborhood, but the Bounce of Power actually has advanced in the favor of the Dinos. Now, I mean, it's even now, but it's gone back towards the middle, where it was in the favor of the Skaven before. If you look at the battlefield, there's a couple Saurus and Skinks out here on the wings. Over here, we do have some Saurus. Some Plague Monks are going to be chasing those guys down. It's a pretty darn even battle at this point. I mean, the Bastillodon is still pretty healthy, which, of course, can mass terror out these Skaven infantry. And the Dinos actually do have, a Skink Priest with Heavens who's very beat up, of course, but they also have a Skink Chief with, 21 shots left. So Skrulk is now dead. The Skink Chief can probably sit and fight the Helpet Abomination, but if the Abomination and these other Gutter Runners who are actually poisoning Krokar are able to kind of bring him down, I think that could give the game to the Skaven. But man, this is a very, very close game here. The Skink Chief just being annoying and peppering down the Helpet Abomination. But remember, guys, just like I was saying earlier in the game, it still has too horrible to die, which means when it does get below a certain threshold, this bad boy is going to get a fat, juicy heal. So it certainly could help him out quite a bit in the situation. Hand of the Gods going down over here against a Warlock Engineer. Definitely would have used that against the Helpet Abomination to try and burst him down, but he still did some good damage. Warlock Engineer coming in, and he does have pretty good AP, actually. The Warlock Engineer has 280, but it looks like the Skink Chief is going to be diving down there, and AoE kind of coming down from Krokar with the swiftness of Itzel, knocking back some of the filthy Gutter Runners. And it looks like there's going to be some Saurus coming back. 20 Saurus definitely is no joke here, but let's take a look at the HP. So 2,200, give or take. Krokar should be able to kind of get a couple pokes, doing 400 plus damage right there. Definitely very good stuff. And he is getting so close to proccing his too horrible to die. The Skink Chief does do a little bit of cycle charging on the Warlock Engineer to keep him away. The King of the Dead probably going to be committing his forces to finish off the Helpet Abomination. I think that's the biggest threat he has to him. But the Skaven, that poison is definitely going to be very helpful from those Gutter Runners. There's some Plague Monks coming in with a rear charge here. Krokar is just fighting to the bitter end. He does use the Cold Blood to give him the leadership, which is definitely going to be very nice here. And it looks like a Wind Blast coming down. The Wind Blast Might have chewed up a couple of his own Saurus. I mean, those guys were still fighting there, but it does get rid of the Gutter Runners, which I think is more important. It allows them to be terror routed. And the Skink Chief going in for the kill right now. 1,000 HP, 900 HP. It is getting so incredibly close, down to 600. And the Too Horrible to Die, giving him 1,500 HP, is so fat. And you can see that throws the balance of power back in the favor of the Skaven a little bit. And also buys time for some of their other troops. These Halberds, 47 here, 49, as well as 8 Rat Ogres to potentially rally back in here. So I think that Too Horrible to Die is actually going to pull out the game for the Skaven. I mean, it's still probably going to go down to Croc R and the Skink Chief, but I don't know, man. That's so much value. So yes, it does eventually go down. Spawns a group of Skaven Slave with Spears, but Croc R actually gets swarmed. He just gets swamped. And he's down to 500 HP. He actually, it looks like he tail whips someone as he's trying to retreat here. But now you can see from that Too Horrible to Die proc, it actually gives the game to the Skaven. They're able to get their Halberds back and stabilize. It buys them just a little bit more time, because if Krokar had been able to turn and fight the other Skaven troops and the Hell Pit had just died, for example, I mean, that could have been it, right? Like Krokar and his goons might have been able to finish these guys off, but it bought him just enough time for the Skaven to kind of swarm in here. And from there, you can see Krokar is going to get taken out. Skink Chief is going to go down. And that's going to be all she wrote for the Lizardmen. So man, what a great close game. Always refreshing to see a very solid, solid Skaven victory. But yeah, like Gojira's build, it had a good front line of the Plague Monks. They seemed to do okay against, Saurus and heavy-duty Croxgors. The Halberds were also a nice pick against the, the Croxes, as well as the Bastillodons. And the Rat Ogre is solid as always. Good mass, good armor piercing, but the Hell Pit Abomination and Skrulk Daddy, I think, really carried that game. Plus that Death Frenzy, that was really cool. I got to start experimenting with that quite a bit more. I mean, overcasting it seemed to last for like almost a minute. I'll have to go ahead and take a look at that. But as far as the Dino build, it was good as well. Krokar brings anti-large to the table. I definitely think having him on his mount is a little bit better, because he can stick and move, and really, I guess he would have then been a large target for the Hell Pit Abomination, but he could have probably outmaneuvered it and gotten some better Hand of the Gods and things like that. But yeah, the Croxogres did their job. I mean, they spanked most of the Skaven infantry, but yeah, unique builds from both players for sure. So very well played to Gojira and King of the Dead. Thank you guys for sending me the replay, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this Skaven versus Dino game. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.